This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
You know, if his champion was leaving the territory and refused to put the next guy over, that's you basically killing your territory. So, you know, to me, I had those same thoughts. Owning Georgia Championship Wrestling and Florida Championship Wrestling, I was thinking, man, you know, what would happen? It'd kill your territory if somebody left like that. So, coming from a wrestling family, I could not understand that attitude. And I still can't to that day. That's the one thing that still puzzles me. And me and Brett have shaking hands, and we speak to each other, more social with each other. But, sometimes, you're just taught when you're brought up in the wrestling business, there's certain protocols, that's the new word to describe it, that when you get a belt, you're given that belt. You don't win nothing. I think that's where sometimes Brett kind of lost focus of things. It was a work. He was given that belt. He was given that belt to carry it and enhance the prestige of the belt, which he did tremendously. No knock to Brett's work or his work ethic. He was one of the hardest workers in the ring and one of the finest workers in the ring. But that moment of lapse that he just started getting very selfish about himself, I just couldn't understand. So anyway, Vince and I started talking, and we threw out several alternatives, and every one of them Vince kind of vetoed. He won't go for that. He won't go for that. He won't go for that. So I can't even remember a lot of, DQ or, somebody run, whatever. We were coming up with alternatives. He said, the bottom line is we're going to have to figure out a finish and have the referee ring the bell. And he said, do you have any suggestions? And I know everybody in the moon, even including the man in the moon, has come up and said it was their ideal to put the sharpshooter on and have the referee ring the bell. I can't tell you how many people I've heard interviews say it was their suggestion. And off key. Well, yeah, I was drinking with Vince, on a 300-mile road trip when it come up, 10 months before. And just put the sharpshooter on and make Brett give up. That we can do it that way. I've heard all these stories of them. But that never came up in our discussion until we started talking. And Brett was a great amateur wrestler in Canada, and Sean had never really been physical in his life, and so we nixed all the deals and everything. So Vince said, well, Brett gets in about midnight tonight. I want you to go to his room and I want you to show Brett something that will protect him. And like I said earlier in this conversation, Conrad, that you can't teach a guy to protect himself in a matter of hours. It's an attitude, number one, and it's a mindset. And Sean did not have that mindset. I'm not saying he didn't have the athletic ability. I'm just saying, when you go to hurt somebody, you got to have a bone in your body that allows you to go that far with another person, especially in our business where you're so used to giving up your body to people and crushing them. And Sean does not have that mean bone in his body. He's a nice guy, contrary to a lot of people's beliefs. And so I said, okay, I'll meet with Sean and we'll come up with something and I'll let you know. And it was about 10:30 that time. So I went to the front desk, and like I said, we didn't have cell phones where we could communicate with each other. So I left a note at the front desk that said, "Very important. When Shawn Michaels checks in, have him call me. I'll be at the bar, and have him call me and at the bar, and just ring the bar and let me know that he's there." And the guy said, "Okay." So a few hours later, so I go and I meet up with with Brother Bruce and whoever else is in the bar, and we start drinking. So I get a phone call about midnight, 12:30, and it's Sean. He said, "Hey, I just checked in. I'm up in my room, so-and-so number." He said, "Do you want to come up for a while?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be up there in a second." So I hung up. And, this is unusual for me to get a phone call, at a bar. And so Bruce looks at me, "Where are you going?" I said, I just got to do something. I just got a call. I got a call from home, and I got to go do something, but just making up an excuse. So I excused myself from the bar, and I went to Sean's room. My mission with Sean at that time, Conrad, was not to teach him anything, but was to find out what he knew, in case it got physical and got scary at the end of what we're doing. So we sat there, and he said, "We have any ideas?" I said, "The only thing I can come up with, Sean, is, you agree to whatever Brett wants to do to it. If he wants to whatever, kick out your finishing move, at 2 minutes into the match, you got to go for it. You just got to be very, very cooperative with him. You can't tip your hand in any way." But the only way I can think of that we can get him in a position, because he'll kick out on a cover. So no matter what you do to him, unless you knock him out with the ring belt or the belt, you're not going to cover him for a 3 count, because he'll kick out. So the only other way is to get a hold on him where we can do a submission. Well, Earl Hebner had been assigned the match. I've known Baby Earl since he was setting up the rings in Richmond, Virginia for Joe Murdoch and the Crockett's. So I'd known him all of his career. Had a pretty good relationship with the guy, and I consider him a friend. Him and Dave both were good friends of mine. So he was the key to it. He said, Brett and Earl are tight, and they were very, very tight. I mean, Brett took care of Earl all the time. I'm moving him up to first class seats and all that stuff. And as the legend goes, and I wasn't on the flight, so I can't verify this story. But the night before, as they were flying to Montreal, they were finishing up, I think it was Detroit. They were finishing up that road to the pay-per-view. So Earl was sitting in the back of the plane. Of course, Brett sitting in the front of the plane. So Brett buys Earl a first-class seat so he could sit next to him. And on the plane, as the legend goes, and like I said, I can't verify this story because I wasn't there. And so that Brett, "Hey man, I'm a little worried about tomorrow. Can I have your word you won't screw me?" "Well, I swear on my kids," so the story goes, that Earl told Brett. So, they had that bond. So, but so we come up with Shawn Michaels and Brett had been having a series of matches. And during those series of matches, they both kicked out of each other finishing holds. So they already had a spot built into the match where that sharpshooter could go on. And so it was kind of easy from there. I said, well, this is what we're going to have to do. So he and I come up with the deal, And now my job is, I got that taken care of. Now my job is to, okay, we get to 1, 2, 3. Now, is Brett going to attack you and kill you, or is he going to attack, whoever, the referee and kill him? So I had to think about Sean, what to do with Sean. So Sean said, "I can't teach you. I mean, I can sit here and I can go through the motions. I can teach you how to snap his knee." And Brett it was a common fact, Brett had bad knees. So that was my focus. When you get in a fight, you look for the guy's weakest points. And I knew what Brett's weakest points were. It was his knees. He had no wheels on him, Or most wrestlers, your knees get shot. So I said, this is the way you can snap his knee. You got to do a leg scissor, get him down, or drop him any way that you can. Just, are you good at defending? I said, I'm gonna throw a couple punches. I want to see you, how you bob and weave. Just the deal was more for Sean's protection than it was to teach him anything. Because like I said, I'm a great coach. I'm first to admit I'm a great coach, but I can't teach a guy in 30 minutes how to do the thing effectively when somebody's resisting you and fighting for their lives.
I feel strongly that saving money is important. If it's not something we worry about now, boy, we are really going to worry about it later. And I want to help you get out of debt faster and do it with cheaper monthly payments. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. Now is the time to take years off of your loan. We're routinely helping our listeners cut 5, 10, even 15 years off their loan, and you can do this without perfect credit with no money out of pocket. You've just got to start at savewithconrad.com.
Brett is a tough son of a bitch, and I knew Sean would be in trouble if there was a fight, because as good a worker as Sean is, like I said before, I don't think he's mean enough. And Sean had a track record, as everybody knows, getting the hell beat out of him in Syracuse by a bunch of soldiers. And, he didn't have a very good win-loss record in actual shoot fighting, in other words. And so I was a little concerned about that. But now we have a game plan. So I finished the meeting. I went back to my room and I called Vince, and I told Vince, I said, I think we got something. And I kind of laid it out to Vince, and I said, Vince, I got to ask you a question. Now I'm a little, I'm old school, Conrad. I was brought up to do the right thing in the business. This was weighing on me because this was something that, in my lifetime and in my career, I'd never seen done or never heard of it being done. And, doing research later as all the research mode became available, I saw where there was a couple other, screw jobs like this. And I kind of relate back to 1973 when my brother was supposed to get the belt from Dory Funk Jr., and it didn't happen. With strange circumstances. So I could relate to what was going on there. So anyway, I went back to the bar, and Bruce said, where the hell you been so long? I said, no, I just, like I said, I had a phone call, and so we started drinking, and I'm shocked at, because, Bruce likes to dig deep, when it's something different out of the ordinary, and this was totally different out of the ordinary. So we sat there and we finished drinking, closed the bar down, and we went our separate ways and went to our rooms, Got up the next morning, and so I asked Ben, because this is a fantastic weight where you, believe it or not, put on my shoulders, to do this, to go against what I was brought up to believe about this business my entire career and my brother's entire career. I was a little nervous about doing it, but I still had a job to do, and I was kind of thinking selfish too. Well, if Brett takes this title down there, we'd already been stung before, with Medusa and Lex and all these guys leaving, and Brett taking her title down. I didn't want to see that happen again because I had, 2 kids I have to feed too, and so I knew that would hurt, and we were struggling. We weren't in the WWE wasn't in the best of financial shape at the time either. So we'd all already taken a huge pay cut. And so all this is weighing on your mind, and the moral aspect, whether it's right or wrong. And the more I thought about it, right or wrong, the more I thought about what would Stu Hart do if it was his territory. And some American was claiming, that close to the border, he couldn't drop the title. Well, Calgary's 100 and some odd miles away from the border. It's too close to the United States for me to drop a title. What would Stu do? I mean, he would probably done the same thing because it would have killed his territory if he'd let the guy take the belt. So my conscience started getting better, but I'm starting to think, when is the best time to approach Earl Hebner? Well, Hebners are great business guys, And so I kept putting it off, and all day long, Vince would walk by me. And then, and this is, like I said, is a heavy weight because I couldn't share this with Pat. I couldn't share it with Bruce. I couldn't share it with JR. I couldn't share it with any of my friends or anybody there, Jack Lanza, or anybody that I was close to. This is something I had to carry all day long. And every time I'd walk by and see Brett would kind of look at me because Brett and I had a friendly working relationship, but we weren't really friends, you know. We were just kind of, you know, co-workers and acquaintances. So I didn't have that relationship that I have with Bruce and JR and Pat and those guys. So all day long, I'm trying to figure out when's the right time to talk to Earl. And so Earl going to do it because I know his friendship with Brett. So I went to Vince and I said, Vince, I started doubting whether Earl would do it. And so I went to Vince and I said, Vince, I'm going to have to, because he made me swear I wouldn't tell anybody too. He said, you have problems, so you're not going to share this with anybody. I said, well, who knows that I can talk to during the course of the day to try to get this off my chest? Kevin Dunn's the only other guy that knows what we're doing. Well, Kevin spends the day in the truck, so he's not a guy that you go out and talk to because he's super busy, on a pay-per-view day, getting everything lined up. So I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to share, to bounce things off of. It was just me and my thoughts. So, I said, well, I cannot do that. I cannot talk to Earl until he's ready to go to the ring. And so as the match is getting ready to go to the ring, Earl's getting ready to go in there, and I grabbed Earl by the arm there, and I took him just a few steps away from the gorilla position there where Bruce was sitting, and Davey Boy and Owen was there, so I couldn't talk to him right in front of them because they would alert Brett somehow that Brisco's talked to the referee, would be aware of something. So I took baby Earl back in a little corner, and Earl did not want to do it. Earl was not going to do it. And I just started out laying black and white to him. Earl, you have a mortgage on your house, right? If Brett takes this title down there, and like I said, we're not in the greatest shape of financial anyway, we being WWF, we're not the greatest financial shape. Is he going to pay your mortgage when it comes to it? Is he going to pay your electric bill? Is he going to feed your family? When he takes off and he's down there making, billions of dollars, what's going to happen to you if you refuse to do this and I got to replace you? I'd gone to Timmy White and asked Timmy to stand by just in case that I told Timmy we might have a ref bump, so I might need you to stand by. And that's kind of how I covered with Timmy, to be on standby to referee the match just in case something happened. And Timmy, of course, being a company man, Timmy said, yeah, I'll be glad to, And he said, I hope nothing happens. And I said, well, I do too, but, I might need you as a standby. So Timmy was sitting over by Gorilla too, waiting, see if he's going to have to go. So finally, I just got down to brass tacks with Earl. I said, okay, Earl, you got to go to the damn ring. You got to tell me right now. I got Timmy White over there. That'll take your place. If you refuse to do it and you walk out, you're probably finished here. Now, is Brett going to take you to WCW with you and get you a job down there? I doubt it. I doubt if he'll take you down there. So you're kind of going to be out of the business as far as, making major money with a major organization. He looks at me and he said, Brisco, I wouldn't do this for any other guy but you. And he said, it's against my judgment. I said, it's against my judgment too, but it's the only choice that we have at this time, Earl. So you going to do it or not? We got to go ahead. He said, I'll do it. And I said, as soon as you do that 1, 2, 3, and I want you to grab the belt, hand it to Sean, and just get the hell out of there. Get out of that arena as quickly and as fast as you possibly can. So I know you're not familiar with Montreal Maple Leaf Garden, but
no.
the arena is the floor above the parking deal, and it's a pain in the ass to get to the parking deal. You got to wait for this freight elevator. You've been on freight. Everybody's been on a freight elevator, and they take forever to do it. But there's a set of stairs that you can they're winding stairs. You can go down that one floor and be down there in a second. So during the course of the match, I went to Dave Hebner. I said, Dave, you got the car, right? I said, yeah. I said, go ahead and grab your brother's bag because there's going to be a real hot finish. That's, and that's the referee, I'll tell you guys, says it's going to be a hot finish. So I want Earl out of this building. And you got to go down those steps and you got to get out quick. And as you're going out, there's a little driveway, a little ramp that goes up out of the building onto the street. Well, normally, as you know, both sides of that street is just packed by fans, and they're beating on your car hard at you and everything like that. So I want you guys out of here in case it gets really, really steamy out there. And he said no problem. So he grabbed Earl's bag and he went down. He had the car all turned around, pulled out because it's a cluster down there trying to get your car out even. So he went down and got the car ready. So the match takes place. So we get to the point in the match. Vince decide. I tell Vince exactly how we're gonna set this thing up, how it's set up. I mean, and Pat and had met with Brad and Sean the entire day, working out this match, and they had a little finish figured out, DQ or whatever it was, and a little smiles, Pat Patterson smiles at the end of it. So here it comes. So Vince decides, this was not in our original plans, for Vince to go out, but it worked out very good to show you how bright Vince was in a big picture after I laid it out to him what we were going to do. And so, just to have a fail safe there, for somebody else to ring the bell, in that situation. And so we got into the course of the match, and if you watch that match, you could see the coloration of Earl Hebner is just snow white. It's not the usual face of Hebner in that match. Hebner's usually, he's so professional, he's so relaxed out there. You can't tell, but. Watching and knowing and rewatching it, you can kind of see Hebner's body language that, something was coming down. Excuse me. So anyway, we were getting the course of the match. Here comes the sharpshooter. Ding, ding, ding. Ring the bell, ring the bell. As soon as he puts the sharpshooter on, as they turn him over, Brett's kind of, when you get turned over in a match, you still got to have your balance, even though you're on your belly. And Brett puts his hands down to kind of stabilize his balance from turning all the way over. As soon as that hand goes down, Hebner kind of looks over and kind of gestures. He doesn't really gesture, but Vince takes the signal and hollers, ring the bell. So they ring the bell. So, man, they let go of that deal. So you can watch Hebner. Hebner grabbed that belt. He gives it to Sean, and he's gone. He's disappeared. He's down those stairs. He's out the building. He's gone. He's safe. So now my concern is getting Shawn Michaels out of there. I'm at ringside just in case I got to go in and help Shawn. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I ain't going to be on the losing end of it. I'll tell you that much. So, I knew I might have to do something. So I grabbed Sean as soon as he gets awarded the deal, and I completely forget about Vince because my main focus is getting Sean to safety. Because Damian Owen is now in the ring with Brett, so I know he's okay to go out. So he's going out. As we're walking out, somebody asked me one time, "What'd you say to Sean on the way out?" Because the video showed me saying something to Sean. As you know, fans, when they get disgusted, especially up there in that damn Montreal, they tend to throw stuff on you. I mean, the bottles, you don't know what it's urine and you don't know what it is, but they'll throw stuff on you, spit on you, everything. Sean's walking out and he got that belt by, and I said, so everybody said, what did you say to Sean? Well, after Sean put that, I'm old school, of course. I was always taught when you get heat and put something over your head as you're hitting those exits because you don't know what they're throwing, at you. So I said, Sean, put the belt over your head. It wasn't a gloat or anything like that. It was just for his total protection.
Yeah.
So I get Sean in the back and I pass him off to Hunter. So Hunter takes him down to the dressing room. And now my concern is, okay, I'm out there. Vince is out there. Well, I know Sarge is out there, and Sarge is a pretty salty guy. I know he's in good shape, but I still need to be out here. Guria's out there, and just to kind of direct traffic because he was excellent at doing. So I go out, and we finally get, the spit has already happened, and now Brett's going in the tandem, tearing everything. So I grab Vince, we go to the back. JR and King has already vacated once Brett heads over by them, starts throwing stuff, they vacate. We have a dressing room back in the back. We've been advanced as a little cubicle off to the side there with two dressing rooms that are like adjoining rooms. And so JR in one of them, and we're all getting the back. Finally, I get Vince back there, and I go and I lock all the doors. Well, I see Taker walking down the hallway towards Vince's office, but I lock all the damn doors because I don't know the guy's attitude at that time because we'd just done something that hadn't been done in the business in a long time. So we're in there. And Vince and I, and to Vince's credit, I mean, he could foresee a lot of stuff that my mind wasn't broad enough to see because I was focused on what I was assigned to do. But we had talked the night before. The repercussions, you're going to have to address. We'd already knew we were going to have to address the crew after what happened. The ones that, and to show you how smooth this thing went, Conrad. During the course of the match, you weren't required to stay, because everybody we had the next day was Ottawa. We had a long ass drive, 4-hour drive to Ottawa the next day. So. A lot of the guys had already left the dressing room, so it was just basically friends of Brett and family of Brett and Sean's group that was still around. And so like I said, I passed Sean off to Triple H, went out and got Vince, and I took Vince, and JR was already in the dressing room, so I locked the door even until I heard the Undertaker pounding on the door, let me in. I said, Mark, we'll be out in a little bit. And I need to talk to Vince. I said, I know, we all do. So I said, well, I promise you we'll be out in a minute. So he turned around, he goes back to the main locker room because he's going to police the locker room because Sean is sitting in the same dressing room with Brett. They were dressing in the same damn dressing room. So okay, what are we going to do? And I told JR, I said, you go in that back room there, Vince's room. There's a bathroom in there that you can lock. I said, go in there and lock the door, and you don't unlock these doors for anybody. As soon as we step out of this room, I want you to lock the doors and don't open it for anybody. I don't care who it is, the police or anybody. Make them break down the damn door, but don't unlock the door. I don't want you. I didn't want JR involved because JR was head of talent.
Yep.
JR did not have an ounce of knowledge on what was going on. So I wanted to dispel that rumor that JR knew. He's head of talent, but he didn't have an eye. Nobody knew except Kevin Dunn and Triple H, myself, and Vince. And so nobody knew. So JR said, okay, he was scared to death, and I don't blame him because, the finger's going to be pointing towards JR because he's had a talent relations, So I tell Bruce, there might be trouble there. And, Bruce, big old Bruce, he likes to wear those fancy Rolex watches. And I said, Bruce, we're going to go to the back. We're going to face Brett. And he said, do you think of trouble? I said, there very well could be. So he don't want his Rolex. It's the most valuable thing that he wears on him. So he takes off his Rolex and he walks over, puts it in his bag. And as we go out the room now, it's me, Bruce, and Vince. We're headed to back to the dressing room for the showdown now. Now we're to the showdown. Now, do you have anything you want to ask me? Well, I know I'm long-winded.
No, listen.
We can pick
this is great stuff.
Later.
Keep doing your thing.
Okay, so anyway, I had JR, as soon as we walk out the door, I have JR lock himself in the dressing room. Of course, people are pounding on the door wanting in. You know, everybody comes to the door wanting in. So Brad had come to the bench, and, you know, we wouldn't open the door for Brad at that time. We, you know, wanted him to go to the locker room first. And so as we go out, Taker's standing there, and he said, Vince, you need to go down and talk to her. Well, Vince and I talked about, you know, the repercussion. You know, we spit you in face, and I didn't think Brett would hit Vince. And I said, you know, Vince, there's a possibility that he's gonna hit you. And I said, you can't fight back. You just got to stand there like a man, and you got to take a punch. You got to take one for the team, so to say. You got to. He said, I don't know if I can do that. And I said, well, you got no choice, man. You got to just stand there and let the guy throw his best punch on you. And he kind of shook his head. He said, okay. But okay, now here's another wild card that my old feeble mind had to overlook. Shane McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been around Shane. He's a wild card. You know, you talk about a loose cannon. You know, Pillman had nothing on that. On Shane McMahon. I mean, and you know, and they're standing there and seeing your dad getting cussed out. You know, like nobody ever done before. You know, how's Shane going to react to this thing? Is he going to want to fight Brett? Most likely he would have. So I took the biggest guy I had, which was Sergeant Slaughter. I said, Sarge, your deal is to stand right next to Shane-O, and if he starts even flinching, you grab him by the waist and you get him the hell out of there, because we can't allow it to happen. So Vince was prepared to take a punch. This is the part that I'm gonna piss people off, and I'm gonna upset Brad after all of our good deals. So Sarge agrees to babysit Shane-O for me. So it's basically me, Vince, and Bruce kind of standing there in a little semicircle to ourselves while Brett is getting ready to go to the shower. Of course, when we come in, Taker ushered everybody, and I appreciate that from Taker. And he wasn't asked to do it, or it's just instinct with him. But he told everybody, get the hell out of the dressing room, including Shamrock, I think, and a couple other pretty tough guys. Get the hell out of here. This private. I mean, nobody that's not involved that needs to be here. Davey and Owen, of course, were left in there, and Hunter and Sean, of course, were there. And when we walked in, Brett and Sean were actually talking, and as soon as Brett saw Vince, of course, his attention went on him, and he started cussing Vince out, telling Vince off, and he said, I'm going to go in the shower, I'm going to shower off, and if you're still in here, when I get out of here, I'm going to knock the hell out of you. And so, well, okay. So now Shane, I look over Shane, and he's starting to bow up, and I kind of give the nod to Sarge, you know, kind of get in front of him and hold him back. So Brett goes in the shower. While Brett is showering, Vince is explaining to the other talent in the room exactly what went down and why it had to go down like it did. Well, sure enough, Brett got out of the shower. He dried off. I mean, it's kind of like watching a movie being filmed here. So, you know, you're waiting for the big showdown, the shootout at that high noon, and it's getting ready to come, and the town is anticipating it. So, you know, everybody's feathers are kind of rumpled up and, you know, getting ready to choose sides. You know, who's gonna do what. So, and you got to give it to Vince, and this is where I get pissed off when I hear Brett's description of it. You know, I mean, he come over and he told Vince, I told you if you're still here when I got out of the shower, I'm going to knock the hell out of you. I'll give you one more chance to leave. And Vince said, Brett, I'm sorry it had to happen like this, but it happened at that time. Vince's hands were down at his side. Here's a man, 13 years older than this world-class athlete, and standing there facing him, with his head up and not trying to cower out of anything. And Brett said, "Vince, I'm gonna punch the hell out of it." And Brett threw one of these punches. It was a big roundhouse, and he said there was a group of guys, but like I said, it was only Bruce and I, and neither one of us trying to block the punch, because Vince had told me he was willing to take it, but that take one was all he was going to take, and that's really all it took. So Brett reared back, and he punched Vince, and Vince went down, and Brett, in fact, likes to brag, "Well, hell, I punched him, and I punched his lights out. He went down like a sack of potatoes." Well, you know what, Conrad, you could punch me if I'm standing there with my hands to my side, and nail it and hit me with a good punch without me trying to defend it or turning my head or anything like that to lessen the blow. But Vince took it head on, and he went down. Vince wasn't out cold, but he went down like a tree with a chainsaw. I mean, he would flop. And in those hockey dressing rooms, they have those damn pallets there that are hard, unless you're in skates, are hard to walk on, and you move pretty quick unless you hit the board on those pallets, you're going to fall through and turn. This is the funny part of it. Vince still blames it for me today. Vince had a knee operation a few years later. It was from that. It was from the scrum after he went down. Of course, Vince said, "I'll take one punch." So I was, as soon as Vince hit that floor, I was on top of him, covering him, because I wasn't going to let Brett get a second punch in. There's no way in hell I was going to let him get a second punch in. And so I grabbed Vince, and I kind of pushed Brett off to the side there as well as I could, along with everybody else that was standing there. We could, just get Brett away, get some distance there. He had already done his damage, so we got up, and Vince was in la la land. I mean, he was, his eyes were spinning around. He'd been punched in the temple, and like I said, he's 11, 13 years older than Brett, and he went down. Brett did throw a damn good punch, but he threw it. That's like shooting an unarmed man, as far as I'm concerned. It wasn't a sucker punch, because he knew it was coming. So, but it was an undefended punch, and Vince went down. Brett is 100% right on that. But if you can't knock a man down, with your best punch when it's uncontested, then you're not very strong. But Brett showed he was strong. So we get Vince up, and he's kind of and overcome Shane. By now, Shane has joined it. We're helping, because we didn't know if Davey Boy and Owen were going to get into that scrum and start punching and kicking. So they did. And it was between Brett and Vince, and I left it at that, and the guys I had protecting Vince left it at that. So this was something that we anticipated, and it's something Vince told me, that night. He said, "If I get punched, only allow one punch." So I gave him my word. That's all I was going to allow, and that's all I would have allowed. So we gave him his payback there. He could punch Vince out. So we got Vince out. Now we got to make this walk from the dressing room, which, Connie, is all the way at one end of Maple Leaf Garden. We had to walk out the door. By then, the hallway is lined with all of Brett's entire family. We're getting spit on. We're getting cussed out. I mean, we're getting everything. And I got to give Taker some more credit here. He kind of calmed the masses down. The people with the pitchforks and lanterns getting ready to take us to the big oak tree out back there. He was pushing them out, kind of cleared a path, and we went back to Vince's locker room. We kind of doctored Vince and what we had to doctor him up with, and he had a big lump on the side of his head where Brett had cocked him. And we got to get in the car, and we got to drive out of that damn building where these hostile people are waiting on us, over to the Marriott Hotel, which is about 2 blocks away from us, where we were all staying there. So, that night we're sitting in a limousine. It's Vince, myself, JR, and all this time, people are pounding on JR's dressing room. We wasn't letting them in. And we had even had trouble. JR, it's me. Open the damn door. Okay. Oh, give me a password. Boomer Sooner or something like that. I don't know. That's bullshit there. They thought JR would like that. So anyway, he lets us in. We go in. We doctor him. Now we got to get in that limousine. So people know we're the only people. Vince is the only one that's got a limousine. So we're going out of that at damn arena, and like I was describing with Hedmer's, getting Hedmer's out, you got to go down that ramp and then go up that ramp, and you're on the main street, and you turn to the left for the hotel. So, but the people were lined for blocks and blocks and blocks, all the way to the hotel. People were lying in the streets. We had no police escort. We didn't have, nowadays we would have, the entire Montreal Canadian mounted police there, guarding the streets for us. But back in that time, we didn't have the power and we didn't have the money. So it was just us in that limousine and the fans, and they're trying to turn over. They're trying to break the limousine windows. They're trying to turn the damn limousine over. Finally, we get to the Marriott where there is some security there. So they kind of clear a path for us. Of course, we had already been checked in the night before, so we all go to our room. I don't like to say run to our room. We all go to our room. You listen to the cuss words, ducking the spit, ducking the water bottles, and everything else that's throwing at us. We go upstairs. Well, Shane McMahon called me, and I think it's wise if we don't go to the bar tonight. And I'm saying, really, Shane? I'm leaving my damn room, Even when I called room service, Vince called me. He said, "You hungry?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm gonna order room service." I said, "How you feeling?" And he said, "Man, my head hurts. I can't." I said, "Vince, you took a hell of a bump." And I said, "You all right? You need us to call a doctor or anything? Check you out?" "No, man, I'll be all right. See you in Ottawa in the morning." So anyway, Shane calls and said, "I advise everybody not to go out, and their into the bar tonight, or go out of the hotel because it's pretty hostile out there." So of course I know that, so I didn't plan on going anywhere. So I call the desk, because my phone is ringing off the damn hook. I mean, just ringing off the hook. So I called the desk and I said, "Hey, only calls I'm taking right now is from Vince McMahon, and that's it. Anybody else call my room, I'm checked out. I'm not here." So they said, okay. So my room service came, and believe me, when that room service come, I did look through that Pico to make sure it was the room service guy. So I let him in. So I ate dinner in the room, and like I said, I wasn't taking any calls. And me and JR and Bruce and Pat, this is pre-jet days and pre-corporate limos and all that bullshit that they have now. So we're having to drive a 3-hour drive over to Ottawa. So that's kind of, and that was an interesting story too. I can go on, but I think I've used up my allotted time. But
hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.